The economy. It can feel like this impossibly complex thing, right? Well, what if I told you it actually works like a pretty simple machine? Today, we're going to pop the hood and see exactly how all the gears turn.
And that's from the investor Ray Dalio. He's making a really serious point here. Understanding this machine isn't just some academic exercise. It's actually crucial for avoiding a lot of real-world pain.
So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to give you a clear, simple template that you can use to see for yourself how this economic machine really works.
Okay, so to get our heads around this whole machine, we've got to start small, like really small, with the single most fundamental part that makes everything else happen.
It all boils down to this one thing, a transaction. Seriously, every single time you buy a coffee, you're making one. It's like the single atom of the entire economic universe, and it happens millions of times every second.
And this is where it gets cool. You take all those little atoms, those transactions, and they start linking up to form molecules. A market is just, well, it's all the buyers and all the sellers making deals for the same thing. You've got the car market, the wheat market, the stock market, you name it.
And just like that, you can see the whole picture. The economy isn't some mystical force in the sky. It's literally just the grand total of every single transaction happening in every single market. Kind of simple when you put it that way, huh?
Okay, so if transactions are the bricks, what's the fuel? What makes this machine really go? Well, that brings us to the most powerful, the most misunderstood, and honestly, the most volatile part of the whole thing: credit.
The absolute best way to wrap your head around this is the old bar tab analogy, right? Paying for a drink with cash, the deal's done. That's money. But starting a bar tab, that's credit. You're creating a promise to pay later. You and the bartender literally just created credit out of thin air. So, just how big of a deal is credit? Get this, in the US economy, there's something like $50 trillion in credit. Now compare that to only about $3 trillion in actual money. It's insane. Almost everything we think of as money is really credit.
Now, this right here, this is the engine of the whole system. When you spend money, doesn't matter if it's cash or credit, someone else earns it. This simple little fact kicks off a self-reinforcing loop that drives the whole economy forward.
So you might be wondering, is credit good or bad? And the answer is yes, it's both. It's bad if you borrow to buy, say, a giant TV you can't really afford. But it's good if you borrow to buy a tractor that helps you grow more food, make more money, and then easily pay back that debt.
All right, so we've got transactions and we've got credit. With those two pieces in place, we can finally see the three main forces that are really driving this whole economic machine.
Force number one is the foundation: productivity growth. Over the long haul, we just get better at stuff. We innovate, we learn, and we become more productive. This is that slow, steady march of human progress.
But, our lives don't feel like a straight line, do they? That's because you've got this wave layered on top. That's the short-term debt cycle. This is the one we all know and feel, that 5 to 8 year rhythm of boom and bust, expansion and recession. And it's mostly controlled by the central bank.
And finally, layered over both of those is the big one, the long-term debt cycle. We're talking a massive 75 to 100-year wave, and it happens because, well, it's just human nature. Over generations, we tend to borrow and spend just a little more than we pay back, causing debt to slowly, silently rise faster than our incomes.
And when that long-term cycle finally hits its peak, man, it is a huge deal. And this isn't random. We saw it in the US back in 1929, we saw it in Japan in 1989, and of course, we all remember 2008. It's a predictable part of the machine.
So what happens when the party stops and that massive debt bill comes due? It kicks off a process called a deleveraging, and how it's handled is absolutely everything.
Now, this is a really critical distinction to make. A recession is not the same as a deleveraging. A recession is like a temporary dip. You can usually fix it by lowering interest rates to get people borrowing again. But in a deleveraging, interest rates are already at zero, the central bank is out of ammo, and the old fix just doesn't work anymore.
So, policymakers have to turn to 4 other tools. First, cut spending. That's austerity. Second, reduce the debt through defaults. Third, you can redistribute wealth through taxes. And fourth, the most controversial one, the central bank can just print new money. The key thing is, you can't just rely on one. You need a delicate balance of all 4.
And when they actually get that balance right, it's called a beautiful deleveraging. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a really tough time, but it's managed.
The painful deflationary stuff is balanced by the inflationary stuff, like printing money, and you avoid a complete depression.
So, at the end of the day, it all boils down to a really simple math problem. You have to get incomes growing faster than the interest on the debt is piling up. If you can do that, you can slowly and steadily work your way out of the hole.
That was a lot, I know, but the great thing is we can boil this entire complex machine down to 3 simple rules of thumb.
1. Don't let your debt grow faster than your income, because eventually it will crush you. 2. Don't let your income grow faster than your productivity, or you'll become uncompetitive. And 3. Always, always, always do everything you can to raise your productivity. In the long run, that is what truly matters most.
So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have the template for how this economic machine works, take a look around. Based on what you see, where in this long, predictable cycle do you think we are right now?